In three, two, one, welcome to Too Many Thoughts and Too Many Problems. I am doing a hopefully mini solo podcast here. I'm not sure how well it's gonna go because I've never done a solo podcast, so I don't know how well I can actually talk to myself for a prolonged amount of time without like too many cuts, hopefully. But today I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about just how I'm processing some things, and hopefully it will help me continue to understand myself and how my feelings and process my emotions a little bit better as I share my thoughts and everything that's been kind of going on. So recently I am kind of journaling now. It's not every day, but it's just whenever I have some thoughts or whenever I think there's significant timing in my life, I suppose, that I just kind of jot down. And I started this around my birthday because my amazing tutor bought this for me, and it specifically says "slow life" on it. And the reason she bought this specific journal for me is because I've been telling her that I've been wanting a slow life lately. Um, I think that it's just been like a lot of negativity for me throughout, not even like throughout my life, but just within the past 8 years. I feel like my life has just kind of been, has more downs than it has ups. And so I don't know if that's because it's actually true, or maybe it's just because I haven't been um, grateful or appreciative of the ups that have happened. And so I want to try to live a slower life that allows me to appreciate the little things more in life. And hopefully, I will start to see a life that has more ups than downs. Um, and also, as I can age, and I think many of us continue age, it seems that life just becomes faster. Like life just seems to pass by faster. Like it's kind of scary how this last year has just kind of disappeared already. This year of that I'm experiencing right now has disappeared already, and I'm starting to realize that, like, oh man, yeah, once again, I'm not experiencing. I don't feel like I'm experiencing as many goods as I'm experiencing bad things. So I do want to try to make sure that I'm appreciating life a little more before things are gone. Everything's gone before I'm gone. um, so I wanted to share this entry with you guys specifically, and I wrote it down on October 27th, 2022. It says, "Mom would be sad to know that you moved to a different country because you were crying over a girl just to cry over another girl in that different country." um, I think that says a lot about what's been going on, and I think it just says a lot about me right now. So yes, I made the big move to Korea from America, mostly, not solely, but mostly because of a heartbreak that I was dealing with at that time. And then now recently I've been in a big slump because of another heartbreak that I'm trying to deal with at this time. And I just thought it was kind of ironic that, and so I just thought it was, well, I just thought it was so ironic so I decided to write it down, and it just made me laugh because, like, I'm just laughing at my dumb self, I guess. Like, pain is funny, I guess. Laughing at my pain is cathartic. What is the word for this? It's healing in a way. um so yeah, which is funny because then recently, as the end of the year is approaching, I once again have to think about what I'm going to be doing next with my life, because as some of you guys know, I'm an epic teacher, and so I teach English here in Korea. And every year we have to decide whether or not we're going to stay in Korea, or go back home, or do whatever, because our contract is only a year long usually. That's how it works. And so As this year ends, I once again am contemplating whether or not I should move to a different country or move back home because of heartbreak. Oh my god. I am just going around and around, full circles, just repeating mistakes. And I think that's probably why I'm talking on this podcast right now, solo podcast, expressing myself. Um, because I haven't been able to find anyone. Not not that I don't have friends to talk about this with, but I don't want to be like, hey, can you hop onto my podcast and just let me kind of like cry on it for a bit. Because I feel like that's a waste of my friends' times. But which is interesting. It's also interesting because, well, and I also don't want to do that because I have been talking to some specific friends about these worries outside of the podcast already. So I don't want to be like, hey, can you come back and can we just talk about it again? And they just have to be like, okay, yeah, it's just not like, I don't think it's worth my friend's time. So, speaking of which, I have talked to my friend about this before, recently, and I told him that like, I might want to move back home because of this recent heartbreak, and he was like, really annoyed, I guess, with me, um, but he was nice about it because he told me that I understand that like he was sympathetic. He understands that I'm heartbroken and I'm hurting over this, but at the same time he was telling me that it's I know what's best for me, but at the same time he doesn't want me to regret my decision later on in life by making a move back to home or somewhere else because of something that I will eventually get over. And I was just like, you don't know me. I am broken and I'm gonna run away once again. But no, he was like completely right, and he was just basically speaking my words for me because I don't I want to be someone who is growing as an individual. Ideally, I hope that I am growing as an individual. And if I was to just move and go back home right now, I would just be repeating the same mistakes once again. And I just don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to. I want to face my fears this time. I think that is part of growing, I suppose, or trying to mature as a human being, mature as an individual. Um, and so I was like, yeah, you're right, unfortunately. And so as of right now, um, I'm not gonna go home, but I don't really know exactly what I'm gonna do yet. But I do want to stay in Korea for another year, mostly because with another friend, I had another conversation. He was saying that I shouldn't do if I want to if I'm going to do something, I shouldn't do it for the sake of someone else. It's always in his like experience. It's always been like a mistake, a regret doing something because of another person. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, if I want to do something, it should be because I want. Or if I'm going to do something, it should be because I want to do it and not because of external forces. So I do want to mention one thing before I kind of continue on about my life is that something I think that isn't brought up often about living abroad and living in Korea is that, well, one specific to Korea is that mental health isn't really a thing here. So it's very difficult for, I guess, me or anyone else within living in Korea to find a source that they can, like that can help them with their mental health problems. And then I also think, as I've lived here for 4 years now, the devastation or the negativity that you face while living abroad is I think oftentimes magnified in the way that it impacts you as an individual. Being abroad means that you're alone, right? It just as like, I don't know. I don't know why it feels cringe for me to say it. Maybe because I've been here for 4 years and I have like a significant amount of friends now per se, but you're still very much just like alone in your own space while living abroad. I've been here for 4 years now, and I do have a support system here now, but it's not. I don't know if I want to say it's not as big as back home, but maybe it's just not as um, it's not as free as it is compared to back home. And I mean that because, and I don't really, hopefully I can explain this well. When you're home, you have the like comfortability of being in your own country. You can speak your own language. You can basically, you can talk to anyone. You can freely express yourself in the way you know how to express yourself in terms of where you've grown up. Um, and you already have like a base foundation of a support system while at home, and so you have a lot of freedom of how to express yourself, and where you can express yourself, especially like in the states in comparison to Korea, where mental health is a little bit better in the states. The way it's dealt with is a little bit better in the states compared to Korea. But in Korea and living abroad specifically, what you have this language barrier, right? So having a language barrier is one thing, and then I think even if you didn't have a language barrier, the culture of Korea, the societal function of Korea is very seclusive in a way, I guess. It's very closed off. Let's put it that way. You don't I don't ever feel freely, or that I am able to freely express myself here in Korea the way that I would ever be able to back in the States. You're not able to freely express yourself to the people around you. It's closed off. And the community that you do have, you don't always have the accessibility to them because, like I live like an hour away from like most of my friends who I can talk to about this. And then, being abroad, every foreigner is kind of dealing with their own issue, and so not everyone has the mental or emotional capacity to even give you time sometimes, and so I do think that in comparison to like the States or something, a lot of my emotions, a lot of the things that have impacted me here has been kind of bottled up and has been absorbed solely by me. Like I haven't been able to share like the damage, I suppose, like mental or emotional damage with the people that I care or love and things like that. And so I do think that if you are going to live abroad, it's something to take into consideration, and something that I think needs to be talked about or needs to be explored more, is that the things that you experience here, and it needs to be validated that, for other expats who live here, some of the things that you do experience here are a lot worse than if you were to experience it at home. And so I do think that's one of the reasons why have felt such a big impact from this most recent and these just recent breakups within Korea. It's just been a snowball of failures, and with this most recent one, as she was Korean, maybe I subconsciously felt more alone when things ended because she was able to still be in her own country, and I felt very left alone, maybe. As I'm trying to process it right now. So I don't know, but I just know that I think this one has hit me a lot harder than it would if I was like back at home or something. I hope that was a good explanation. But I am blessed as well because I have been able, like throughout my 4 years, I have found select individuals who I can turn to during like my darker times and where I can express myself a little bit more freely. But again, it's just this problem that like I've lived for 4 years now, and I only have like maybe two people or three people that I can even talk to about this. And, it's just, and these three people are dealing with their own issues at the same time. So it's not like I can constantly have that freedom or even flexibility, I guess, to talk to them and express myself whenever I am in trouble or need help with my own mental health issues. And so I guess I'm realizing that if I want to continue to live in Korea, it's not that I have to build a thicker skin. It's like I have to find a safe place. I guess is the best way I can explain it. So for me specifically, it's been like volleyball and weightlifting. My recommendation is that like when you move to a different country or like if you're in a different environment, make sure you have a safe place for yourself, and kind of make that your foundation for whenever you're in trouble or whenever you're feeling like depressed or hurt or sad or anything. Make sure that you have that safe place. For example, volleyball and like the gym are something that I can go to wherever I am. Like it's something that I can do wherever I am. Like no matter what, it's something that's constant, you know. Even if like I go through a breakup, even if my friends leave, even if I go to a different country, whatever it is, I can always go back to volleyball or the gym. And I know like growing as an individual, trying to like growth and all that stuff, it's about like change and maturing and things like that. But there are times in life where you do need consistency. And if you have that consistency and you can have that be your safe place, I think it will help you a lot as well when it comes to your own mental health and emotional troubles that you might have within a new environment. And I think outside of those select individual friends that have been extremely helpful to me, like going to the gym and volleyball have been the two things that have essentially just kept me going during these harder times. I know it's weird, like the gym. Some people might just think that like the gym is just for trying to build muscle and things, but like for me, when I go to the gym, all I think about is like my breathing, my technique, and lifting, and the music that is like I'm listening to. And within those hours or a few hours I spend at the gym, nothing else is in my thoughts, right? Because for me, that's my safe place. That's something that is consistent all the time. And again, it's the same with volleyball. I go to the gym, open courts, I go hit the ball, and all I feel is my hands hitting against the volleyball. All I feel is the hands on my hand when I set the volleyball. Like all I think about or see and think about is like a volleyball coming to my face or whatever. Okay, so I want to caveat this in a way by saying that you don't want to get consumed by your safe space as well, I suppose, in a way that you're not dealing with, these emotional and like mental problems as well. Because, a safe space, oh, I'm saying that a lot now, is something that like it puts you in comfortability. It makes you comfortable, right? It makes you comfortable. Oh my gosh, how do you English? It makes you comfortable. And when when you are comfortable, it doesn't leave room for for you to heal, for you to grow. And so I do want to caveat that like don't get too consumed by your safe place. Just make sure you have one, and then seek other when you're like, I don't know, 50% or even 30% or 10% recovered while you're in after being in your safe place. Seek other outlets like friends or other new experiences or just whatever. At least that's how I've been trying to take um, my emotional healing process step by step. And recently I've just been playing a lot of volleyball, like a lot of volleyball. I've been playing like every weekend. I've played at least 12 hours of volleyball, like 6 hours on Saturday and 6 hours on Sunday. And it's just like my knees are starting to hurt. So I think I do need to walk away from volleyball a little bit after a while. But it's been extremely helpful. Fortunately for me, I've been able to find a good balance of like just talking to my friends about these things, and being in those areas where I am comfortable, like volleyball and things like that. And fortunately for me, I am the type of person. I'm lucky enough to have these friends, and two, I'm the type of person who kind of wears my heart on my sleeve, and so with the friends that I feel comfortable and safe with, I freely talk about it. And even though it could be like embarrassing or like I feel shameful of it, I will still try to share it anyways, because I just know that like one, these people are people I trust, and then two, it's healing. I I've learned to realize that like bottling up your shameful past or shameful emotions or feelings doesn't do well for your mental health, at least for my mental health. And then, but being able to talk about it and freely express yourself, and then understand like why things happen, or like deal with the regret, or deal with, you know, your own sense of why or what happened, is like extremely helpful. And it just makes you feel more human, I suppose. It like it validates, like it's like you're validating yourself in a way. And so yeah, uh um what else am I supposed to say? What else am I gonna say? I don't really have anything else to say. That's kind of like I'm drawing blanks now. This is where I am right now in terms of my mental fortitude. I'm like healing, but I'm not fully healed yet. I don't think I ever will be. I don't know if that will ever actually happen, to be a fully healed William. I hope so one day, but as of right now, I'm not. But one day. That's all I have for now, since this is a mini podcast, and I don't really know how to talk to myself without having like too many pauses and ums, and like processing my brain and trying to articulate myself at the same time. Because this isn't like written or anything, it's just like off the top of my dome, everything that I've just been thinking. And I know that like if I just start spitballing like things off the top of my dome, it makes no sense. Like it doesn't follow any logical path when I talk about it, but like in my head it makes sense. Anyways, um thank you so much for listening to this podcast, Too Many Thoughts, Too Many Problems. Hopefully I can bring a guest in and talk about other things, maybe more fun things, or maybe we can talk more about like mental health and life, and update you guys more on where I'm gonna be next year, as this year is almost over already. Oh my god, it's already November 14th. It's so fast. I felt like my breakup was just yesterday. I was judging now. Yeah, but for now, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Goodbye.